Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to sit down for this one. I need you to really pay attention because what I'm about to tell you is going to reshape everything you thought you knew about home court advantage, about fan loyalty, and about the sheer unstoppable force that one young woman from the Philippines is bringing to the sport of tennis. Julia Grabher woke up a few weeks ago with a simple expectation, a reasonable expectation. An expectation that any professional athlete playing on their home soil would have. She expected the crowd to be behind her. She expected the cheers to rain down from the stands for her. She expected to walk onto that court in Austria, feel the energy of her own people surrounding her, and ride that wave of support to a competitive edge that every athlete dreams of when they play at home. That expectation has been shattered into a million pieces, and the look on Grabher's face tells you everything you need to know about what is unfolding in Austria right now. Eala is coming to town, and the fans have completely taken over. Let that settle in for a moment. Let it marinate. A player from Austria, representing Austria, playing in Austria at a tournament celebrating its 35th anniversary, is about to step onto the court and feel like she is the visitor. She is about to experience something that defies every conventional understanding of what home advantage means in professional sports, because the numbers coming out of this tournament are absolutely staggering, and they paint a picture that nobody in tennis predicted would happen at this level, at this speed, with this much intensity. Reports are now confirming that 90% of the tickets for the first round match between Julia Grabher and Eala were snapped up the moment they went on sale. 90%. Gone, vanished, absorbed into the hands of tennis fans who could not wait to witness this moment in person. But here's where the story takes a turn that will make your jaw hit the floor. The overwhelming majority of those tickets were not purchased by Austrian fans coming out to support their home player. They were purchased by Eala supporters, fans who have made it their singular mission to flood that stadium, fans who have organized, coordinated, and mobilized in numbers that the tennis world has never witnessed before from a single player's following, fans who are transforming what should have been Julia Grabher's moment into a sea of support for the young Filipino tennis sensation. This is not a hypothetical scenario. This is not speculation about what might happen. This is happening right now in real time, and the entire tennis world is watching in disbelief. Grabher has spent years building her career. She has represented Austria with pride on the international stage. She has counted on that connection with her home crowd to push her through difficult matches, to give her that extra gear when her legs are tired and her focus is wavering. Home advantage in tennis is real. The familiar surroundings, the supportive chants, the comfort of playing in a place where people know your name and your story, these things matter. They can be the difference between winning and losing in a tight third set. All of that is gone now for Julia Grabher. Instead, she will step onto the court and hear the loudest cheers going to her opponent. She will feel the energy of thousands of fans willing Eala to win every single point. She will have to somehow block out that wall of noise, that wave of emotion, that overwhelming presence of support directed at the other side of the net, and still compete at the highest level. That is an enormous psychological mountain to climb. That is a mental challenge that very few players in the history of this sport have ever had to navigate on their own home soil. And it speaks to just how powerful the Eala effect has become, because make no mistake about this, nothing that is happening in Austria is an accident. This is not random. This is not a fluke of ticket sales or a coincidence of timing. Eala fans around the world have been organizing, planning, and showing up in numbers that the tennis community has simply never seen before, from a fan base rallying behind a single player. They are passionate, they are coordinated, and they are absolutely devoted to supporting Eala wherever she goes on this planet. In Austria, they have done it again. And the tournament itself is feeling the impact in every possible way. Tournament director Sandra Reichel has made no secret of how she feels about all of this. Reichel, who is overseeing the Ladies' Linz Open as it celebrates its 35th anniversary, is absolutely over the moon about having Eala in the draw. She has openly praised not just what Eala brings as a tennis player, but what she brings as a global phenomenon. Reichel has acknowledged that Eala is bringing attention, energy, and fans to this tournament in a way that is transforming the entire event from the inside out. She has confirmed that Eala will be placed on the biggest court available. The atmosphere surrounding her match is going to be unlike anything this tournament has seen in its 3.5 decades of history. Reichel has even stated that she herself will personally welcome Eala to the tournament, recognizing the magnitude of the moment. Think about what that means for a tournament director to make that kind of statement publicly, to single out one player for that level of recognition and personal attention. You know that something truly special is happening. You know that the arrival of Alex Eala is not just another entry in the draw. It is an event unto itself. And while Reichel is celebrating, while the fans are flooding in, while the excitement builds to a fever pitch, Julia Grabher is watching all of this unfold right in front of her eyes. The attention is going to her opponent. The excitement is going to her opponent. The praise, the special treatment, the headlines, all of it is being directed at Alex Eala. Grabher is not getting the spotlight. She's not getting a single headline in her own country. She is being completely overshadowed in her own backyard, and that is a situation that would shake any competitor to their core, no matter how mentally tough they believe themselves to be. But here is the thing about Alex Eala that you need to understand. This is not something new. This is not an isolated incident that suddenly materialized in Austria. This is simply the latest chapter in a story that has been building momentum for months. Eala has been creating moments that the tennis world cannot ignore all season long, and the fan base that has grown around her is unlike anything the sport has witnessed in recent memory. Earlier this year at the 2026 Indian Wells tournament, Eala made her debut, and the demand for tickets to watch her play was so extraordinary that prices skyrocketed to levels that nobody could have predicted. The result was $5 million in ticket sales from a single match. One match, $5 million. That number sent shockwaves through the entire tennis community. It put every tournament organizer, every broadcaster, every analyst on notice that something genuinely historic was happening around this young player from the Philippines. Tournament organizers at Indian Wells were caught off guard by the sheer scale of demand. They scrambled to accommodate the crowds that had descended on the venue. And analysts began using a phrase that has now become widely recognized across the sport, the Eala effect. It describes what happens when Alex Eala shows up somewhere. Ticket sales surge, stadiums fill to capacity, the energy becomes electric, the attention that the sport receives goes through the roof. From fan engagement to media coverage to economic impact, the Eala effect is real, it is measurable, and it is growing stronger with every tournament she enters. On the court, Eala has been equally impressive because the hype would mean nothing if the results were not there to back it up. This season, she has been in outstanding form, defeating players of the highest caliber and proving that her talent matches the enormous attention surrounding her. One of the most talked about results came against Coco Gauff, one of the biggest names in women's tennis right now. The fact that Eala is going up against and defeating players of that magnitude has only intensified the excitement around her and given her fans even more reason to rally behind her with everything they have. Jessica Pegula, one of the top players on the WTA Tour, gave a candid account of what it feels like to face Eala in a tournament setting. Pegula has played against many top players in packed stadiums throughout her career. She has experienced hostile crowds, supportive crowds, indifferent crowds. She walked into her match against Eala at the Miami Open expecting a competitive atmosphere, expecting something she could handle with her years of experience on the tour. What she found was something on a completely different level. The crowd energy was unlike anything she had experienced before in her entire career. The fans were not just watching the match, they were living every single point with Eala. They were reacting to every winner, every rally, every moment on the court with an intensity and passion that Pegula described as insane. She noted that no matter where Eala plays, whether it is the Australian Open, the Dubai Tennis Championships, or the Miami Open, the crowd support reaches levels that most players never experience in their entire careers. If a player of Pegula's experience and stature can feel that level of impact from the crowd support behind Eala, imagine what Julia Grabher is going to feel walking onto that court in her home country, in her home tournament, and hearing those roars going to the other side of the net. It is a scenario that very few players in the history of this sport have ever had to navigate on home soil. It is unprecedented, it is intimidating, and it is the reality that Grabher now faces. The economics of all of this are being watched closely by everyone in the tennis world. The ticket sales are being analyzed. The crowd numbers are being counted, the revenue figures are being scrutinized, and every single metric is pointing in the same direction. Eala is bringing something to tennis that goes beyond wins and losses and rankings. She is bringing a movement. She is inspiring a level of devotion and enthusiasm that is transforming tournaments, changing the conversation around the sport entirely, and forcing everyone in the industry to reconsider what they thought they knew about star power and fan engagement. This is not about one match. This is not about one tournament. This is about a fundamental shift in how the tennis world operates when Eala enters the picture. She is not just participating in events. She is becoming the event. She is the reason people buy tickets. She is the reason stadiums sell out. She is the reason tournament directors are making special accommodations and publicly expressing their excitement about her presence. Julia Grabher has a fight on her hands unlike any she has faced before, not just against one of the most exciting players on the tour right now, but against an atmosphere, an energy, and a wave of support that shows no signs of slowing down. She is going to need every ounce of mental fortitude she possesses to block out the noise, to ignore the sea of faces cheering for her opponent, to focus on her game and execute her shots as if the crowd were not there. Can she do it? That remains to be seen. History is not on her side. The psychological burden of playing as the away team in your own building is something that breaks most competitors. It gets in your head. It plants seeds of doubt. It makes every unforced error feel amplified, every point lost feel like a collapse, every moment of momentum for your opponent feel like an avalanche that cannot be stopped. Austria expected a home crowd moment. What Austria is getting instead is an Eala moment. And those, as the tennis world is discovering week after week, tournament after tournament, are something truly unforgettable. The transformation happening around Eala is not something that can be manufactured or replicated. It is organic. It is genuine. It comes from a connection between player and fan that transcends national borders, that ignores geographical distance, that mobilizes people to travel, to organize, to purchase tickets in overwhelming numbers, to show up and make their presence felt in ways that leave opponents stunned and tournament organizers scrambling to keep up. That is rare in any sport. That is special. And it is happening right now in real time with a young woman from the Philippines who is rewriting the rules of what it means to have fan support in professional tennis. Julia Grabher is about to experience firsthand what so many players have already learned the hard way. When you face Eala, you are not just facing one opponent. You are facing an army. You are facing a phenomenon. You are facing the Eala effect in all its overwhelming, stadium-filling, energy-shifting glory. The match has not even started yet, and Grabher has already lost the crowd. She has already lost the atmosphere. She has already lost the home advantage she was counting on. The only question that remains is whether she can somehow overcome all of that and compete on pure tennis ability alone, because the crowd is not going to cheer for her. The energy is not going to fuel her game. The stadium is not going to feel like home. It is going to feel like enemy territory, even though she is standing in her own country, playing for her own people, representing the nation where she grew up and trained and dreamed of moments exactly like this one. That is the reality of the Eala effect. That is what happens when a player captures the imagination of fans around the world and turns every tournament into a destination event. That is what happens when devotion becomes action, when passion becomes coordination, when support becomes overwhelming numerical superiority that drowns out everything else. Austria is about to witness something that will be talked about for years to come. Whether Grabher can pull off the upset and silence the crowd, or whether the Eala effect proves too powerful even within Austria's own borders, this match is going to be a spectacle unlike anything the Ladies' Linz Open has ever seen in its 35 years of existence. The tennis world is watching. The fans have shown up in force. The tickets are sold out. The stage is set for something remarkable, and Julia Grabher is about to learn what it feels like to be the visiting player in her own home. She is about to understand what happens when the Eala effect rolls into your country and takes over your tournament. She is about to face not just a talented opponent across the net, but the full weight of a global fan movement that has decided this match belongs to Eala. The pressure is immense. The challenge is historic. The situation is unlike anything Grabher has ever experienced in her career. What do you think about the incredible phenomenon that Eala has created in tennis? Have you ever seen a player generate this kind of fan devotion so early in their career? Do you think Grabher can handle the psychological pressure of playing in front of a crowd overwhelmingly cheering for her opponent on her own home soil? Can she pull off the upset and silence the crowd, or will the Eala effect prove too powerful? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this is a conversation the entire tennis world is having right now. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, because this story is not over. It is just getting started, and the ripples from what is happening in Austria are going to be felt across the sport for a very long time. We will be watching this closely, and you should be too.